Okay, apparently we are live. We are live. If you can hear me and everything's good, let me know, but I'll just continue as is anyway. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope everyone's keeping sane during this lockdown. It's been a little while now. It's definitely a new reality. It really is a new reality that we're all getting used to. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for this, and hopefully it just gives you a bit of a distraction for a while. Again, the last episode we did was not yesterday, the day before, or the day before that. I cannot remember. All days seem to merge. I can't. It's Friday. It's Friday. That's what day it is. So all days seem to be merging at the moment. But the last one we did, unfortunately, we had to cut it short due to the internet. Reason being, the internet providers are starting to throttle back for pretty much everyone across the board. Because everyone is using much more internet at the moment, so there's not much I can do there. I've had to reduce the quality of the stream or the bitrate slightly, so hopefully it doesn't have any effects other than positive effects, being the stream will last longer. That's the goal, so we will see. So yeah, let's just crack on, and we've got today's subject is funky watches. Now, by funky, it's not necessarily just a crazy watch like the Jean Richard, which we'll get onto, or the SevenFriday. It might be funky in the sense of materials used, like ceramic or a grade 5 titanium that they use on Boeing aeroplanes, which we'll get onto. Or it could just be a very unusual watch, the fact that this is all blacked out and in some lights quite illegible, and we'll get onto that sort of stuff as well. Maybe complication. So like retrograding things. So that's what we mean by funky. That's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to just crack on with it. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go by each watch, pick them up, talk about them, show some things, and just take questions as we go. So obviously you guys or girls have any questions about anything, shoot them in the comment section, and I'll happily pause what I'm doing to answer them. So without any further ado, let's get on with it. So we're going to start with the Jean Richard, or Jean Richard, whatever you want to call it. Let's bring the macro in a bit. Hello Neville, how you doing? How are you? I am well, thank you. I cannot complain. Nice and healthy, which is the most important thing at this time. And I hope you're doing good as well. So the Jean Richard, this is the Aeroscope Arsenal Red Dial. I've showed it a few times now on a couple of different live streams. You can see you've got the running seconds right there at 3 o'clock, and the running seconds is the Arsenal logo, the sort of gun turret thing, whatever you call it. I'm going to get a lot of hate for getting that wrong, that's for sure. So quite an unusual watch. This sort of honeycomb red dial, which is really cool, and the Arsenal connection. Thankfully, they haven't gone crazy with the Arsenal connection. It's kind of, you know, to those who are into football, they'll know what that is. I'm personally not into football. I knew what that was just because, you know, growing up in the UK, football's very big here, but it's not overpowering. And also, personally, and this is a personal preference, it wouldn't turn me off owning a watch like this if I wasn't into football and I wasn't a supporter of Arsenal, because it's subtle and it's not too bad, and the watch overall just looks really good, especially with the black and red. So that's what makes this quite unusual. I mean, you've got a grade 5 titanium black coated case, which again is quite unusual in itself, and a lot of brands are doing this more and more with the titanium cores and the black coating, and some of them are going a step further with titanium cores. Canon, that's it, thanks Dad. It's a Canon, not a turret. Some of them are going further with a titanium core, so the case is made of titanium with a black ceramic sort of shell on the outside. That's what some brands are doing. That's not what Jean Richard has done here, but I thought I'd mention it nonetheless. Really cool watch, really cool case, really cool design. You've got a tachymeter scale sort of embossed with the red. You've got the red on the pushers, the red detailing. Really, really funky watch, this. And I think great for someone who's either into Arsenal or just someone who likes this sort of colour combination and the honeycomb on the dial. Very attractive. Beating away in here is what Jean Richard call the Caliber JR66. What that technically is a Solita SW300 with a Debris de Poix, however you pronounce that, chronograph module built on top. So if you missed the live stream I did on Instagram with John at Anti Watch Company, we spoke about that a little bit more in regards to what the difference is between a fully integrated chronograph and something that is modular, where it's basically a stacked movement. But really cool watch, very funky. We'll do a wrist shot. Just before I put it on wrist, let me show you what I have on my wrist currently. I am still wearing the Seiko Save the Ocean Blue gradient. Really cool watch. I've put it on the standard Turtle bracelet because this watch comes on a rubber strap. I always find the black rubbers are just far too long that Seiko provide. They're just ridiculous. You get the bit hanging out the edge and it just comes too far. Got 6 3/4 inch wrists, so not the smallest wrist in the world, but not the largest either, but it just they feel very weird. So on the bracelet it is, but let me show you the Jean Richard on the wrist. So it's a 47mm case, this Jean Richard, but the lug to lug is only 50mm. So whilst it certainly isn't a small watch, you can tell it wears very similar to how the Turtle was just wearing on the wrist. It's a wide watch but short lug to lug. I mean, you can see those lugs barely exist. In one of the last episodes I said on the wrist it reminds me of how a Panerai radio mirror wears. So not the Luminor, the radio mirror with the wire lugs. It gives you a similar wrist presence, and being titanium, it's incredibly light, and this rubber strap, it's incredibly comfortable. So yes, a big watch, but wears very, very well, and I wouldn't be scared away by the dimensions on this one. So that's the first one that I'm showing you on the box. Just a cool piece, I think massively underrated. Well, not massively underrated, but underrated. I think Jean Richard as a brand in whole are quite underrated. Cool watch. I think Watchfinder did a video on them a little while ago, probably quite a few months ago now, maybe even a year ago. I mean, I can't even tell with time anymore. Let's move on to the next one, which is one that I haven't shown you guys on the live stream yet. Let's bring it into focus. Give it a quick wipe. Quite a unusual one, and one that not everyone likes, and for fair valid reasons it is quite a splitting watch. It's not the kind of thing everyone will like. This is the Ulysse Nardin Marine Diver Camo. The reference is I want to say 263, something like that. Hold on, I've got a tag. Yep, V263-33. Now this watch is quite cool because it is limited to 50 pieces. Now they put the limited number on the side, again a point of controversy for some, but limited to only 50 pieces in the whole world. You've got that camo dial, which is what differentiates it between the normal marine divers. The reason this is quite cool is because obviously you've got the textured bezel, which I really like. Hello Enzo, how you doing? From Brothers in Time. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. The reason I quite like this is actually because of the layout of the dial. I'm not particularly fond of the camo. It's not something I'm personally like. I don't dislike either. I probably wouldn't wear something like this myself, but I can see the kind of person this would appeal to. Hello William, how you doing? How are you doing? Neville says it's a very busy dial. I think it gives the illusion of a busy dial because of the camo. Now when you break it down, it's actually a very, very simple dial. You've got your normal hours and minute hands, you've got a subsidiary seconds down there at 6, a magnified date, and your power reserve at the top. Now the layout of this is like a marine chronometer that you'd have on a ship, which is obviously what Ulysse Nardin are kind of known for. That's why they have an anchor as their logo. You know, they did marine chronometers for ships and different things back in the day, and that's why I quite like this. It gives you that aesthetic of a marine chronometer that you'd have in a ship, but on your wrist. Quite cool. Limited edition stayed there. Again, there's points of contention for a lot of people, like the fact it says limited edition on the metal plaques of the rubber. The metal plaques of the rubber in themselves are quite controversial. You've got the limited edition on the side stated, so limited only to 50. And the rubber strap, unfortunately, it is a cut down rubber strap, so the one that's currently on it has been cut down slightly. It's still far too big for me, but it does come with a strap that hasn't been cut down. Sticker's still on the back. It's been barely worn, and the sticker does state about the 18 gold medals that I think Ulysse Nardin have won over their lifetime. Really cool bezel, which sort of let me get nice and close and show you that. It's got a nice texture to it. A lot of people say it reminds them of the Yachtmaster bezel, but I think any brand that ever does a textured bezel or a sort of three-dimensional bezel, they always get referred to as wanting to be a what do you call it? We just said it. The oh god, my brain is gone, guys. My brain is gone. This lockdown is getting to me. But yeah, really cool watch. Let me show you on wrist and sort of see how it is. Hello Nicholas, how you doing? How you doing? Let's see what you guys are saying. Hope you are keeping well. Yep, the Yachtmaster style bezel. There you go. So that was what I was getting at. My brain fried. Thank you. So doesn't match the camo style in your opinion? Yeah, fair enough. I can see how as a whole, there's a lot of things here which are really cool, but when you put them together, it is a very sort of particular watch for a particular person. In the UK, we'd call it a Marmite watch, because either you love Marmite or you hate Marmite. It is that kind of watch. But thankfully, there's only 50 of them in the world, so for those who do like it, you know, there's not going to be loads out there, which is cool. But let me show you on wrist, and you can see what it looks like. Here we go. So you can see it on wrist here. Again, the strap doesn't fit me at all, but it's a really, really fun watch. I think this is the kind of watch, like if we're trying to figure out the kind of person that would like this, I think William's hit on the head. He's into tactical and bushcraft and stuff like that. So for someone like that, maybe a military background or a fondness for military things, I think they might be attracted to this. Maybe even the guy who's looking for a very robust, because this is an incredibly robust watch, and likes G-Shocks but wants something more mechanical and also just more luxurious in a sense, then this is the kind of watch for them, I guess. You've got a 43mm case but only 46mm lug to lug, so again a wider watch but a very short lug to lug, so it wears very, very well. You've got a thickness of 14, so it does wear surprisingly well. It does slope down. I mean, once it's fitted to your wrist, it would slope down quite well. But yeah, definitely a funky watch, which is the focus of today's stream. If you missed it, we're looking at watches that are slightly different, whether that be funky in the sense of what we covered first, you know, a full black titanium watch with an Arsenal connection, or a all camo Ulysse Nardin marine diver. I mean, there's these are definitely funky. We've hit it off with two very, very funky pieces, and we're going to move on to hopefully all of them today, and hopefully the internet will survive. I know it didn't last time, but we'll have to play it by ear. It's a little more crafted and more pleasing to my eyes than the Yachtmaster bezel. Yeah, there's more detailing for sure. There's no question about that. No question. I think a green rubber strap would have worked better. Yeah, I can picture that. Sort of khaki green, definitely. 50, that's a real limited production. Yeah, 100% William. And that's something that I think at least Nardin have done well with this. You know, when we see a lot of limited editions, they do crazy numbers, and we'll get onto another one soon that is in this box that's limited to a very low number as well. I think it's 50 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, limited to 50 as well, the other one we're going to look at, and see if you guys know which one it is in this box, which other one is limited to 50. But before we get to that, we're going to move on to a watch that we've kind of discussed in a couple of other streams, but usually passing over or using it as reference to how diverse the stock holding is that I try and have. So this is a SevenFriday, which I think a lot of you guys will know, but this is the P1-03, also called the Industrial Essence Orange, and I mean, you can probably see why it's got orange in the title. Really cool watch. I'm a fan of SevenFriday. I've said it before. I had a Dietrich for sale a little while ago, similar aesthetic, similar styling. I'm a fan of them because they are so different. They sort of say an FU to the standard of watchmaking that we're used to, and I think that's refreshing in an age where everyone wants to do the exact same things. Everyone wants a diver watch, everyone wants a chronograph watch, and they all want it to kind of be similar to the mainstream pieces. This just breaks that completely. Like, there's so many components to the case of this watch, it's ridiculous. You've got silicon, which is this center case. You can kind of like even push it. It's a proper rubber case almost. You've got stainless steel, you've got PVD, you've got all kinds of different crazy stuff. Really cool watch. A Miyota powering this, which is the 82S7. And the size of this is 47 by 47. So again, a big watch, but wearing surprisingly well. Is because of the dimensions, right? You've got a cushion case or square case, perfectly square, so it does wear quite well. 30mm thick, so not too bad, and the lugs are 27mm. I mean, it's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But a cool watch. Let's see what you guys are thinking of this, and be honest. You know, don't like them, sorry James. Yeah, no worries Enzo. And that's the cool thing about these. That's what makes me like them even more. You either do like SevenFriday or you don't. You know, and that's what does it for me. I would like to have a SevenFriday in the personal collection one day. Apparently OBS is disconnected. Apparently it's coming back again. Yep, apparently we're back. Sorry guys if it cut out just for a second then. Let me know if you can all still hear me. We're having troubles again with the internet. Again, I stated at the start of this video, the internet companies and internet providers are throttling back the amount of bandwidth they're giving everyone, because everyone is using their internet at the moment. So you'll have to forgive maybe some lag or disconnects and stuff like that. We'll try and get through it. I really like the various components that make up the dial. Yeah, and again, that's a important part of this watch, the dial. So you can see there's lots of different components, lots of different styles. It is a cool and fun watch. Back up and running. Thank you guys. Thank you. Again, apologies. This is how it's going to be until we're back to normal, because the internet providers are just rinsing us at the moment. They're just keep cutting out the actual bandwidth and everything like that. But so we've covered the Jean Richard, the Ulysse Nardin, the SevenFriday. Let's go on to another one. So again, another one I've shown in the live stream, and one I really like, the Chopard Millimillia. This is a titanium one. Now there is a celebrity who wears this watch. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it was quite a funny connection when someone that was it, Simon Cowell. Apparently Simon Cowell wears this exact model, which I just thought was quite funny. It's not the kind of brand promotion I will scream about on the on the adverts personally, but a cool watch nonetheless. You've got titanium, you've got carbon fibre on the dial, which makes it quite unusual, and the connection to the Millimillia, which is a race that they do in Italy, or they used to do. Hopefully it continues after this. And it's where it's a sort of combination of vintage classic cars and the latest and greatest from different brands, and they just all go around this big long circuit. I believe it's 1,000 miles. Is that right? I think it's 1,000 miles, and that's why it says 1,000 in the subdial. I could be wrong. Maybe some of you guys know a bit more about it than I do. But there you go. See the dial up close. Really attractive piece. This does have the stacked movement, which we were talking about on live stream with John on Instagram, so make sure you're following on Instagram for the next one of those. It's a really cool watch. You got the tie tread rubber strap. I really like these. Again, quite a polarizing watch, surprisingly. I remember when I first saw these, and it was probably 2-3 years ago now, and I first got to try them on and check them out, and in a few different variants, and I just thought they were really cool. I thought they were really nice watches, whereas a lot of people weren't so sold on them, which did shock me. But hey, to each their own. I think everyone's on the internet at the moment. That's the issue. That's exactly it. Yeah, the companies are throttling back just to spread more to everyone. Chopard are awesome, but I prefer their dressier pieces personally, especially the LUC range. Yeah, 100%. That's right, James, translates to 1,000 miles. Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was what it said on the dial or not, but yes, it is 1,000-mile race around Italy, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's a cool piece. Next one, let's go on to the next one. Sterling Moss Genius on the circuit. Yes, one of the best Chopard cases made. The new ones are very comfortable. Yep, 1,000 miles. Thank you for confirming, guys. This is the cool thing about doing live streams. I mean, I cannot know everything, and that's where you guys come in. Between us all, we can know everything. We can run the world. So, but yeah, let's move on to a Seiko Turtle, which you guys know. I love Seiko Turtles. I own two. I've owned, I think, every variant of the standard Turtles. Not all these special edition ones, but every standard Turtle I've personally owned and enjoyed. And I love them. The next one we're looking at is the Seiko Prospex Turtle. This is nicknamed the Black Ninja, SRPC 49, I believe it is. I haven't got a tag. Oh, I have got a tag on this. I don't even know what I've got tags on. Yep, SRPC 49. Good memory. I remember when these came out, and I had sold two of them not long after they were released for a bit more than retail, and now they are quite a bit more than retail. It's gone quite crazy, these pieces. I mean, I can see why. The aesthetic is great. The design is really good. You've got a black PVD case, which is, again, you know, really nice aesthetic. And the grey on the dial and the luminous pips are quite puffy, so you get that vintage aesthetic. It is an attractive watch. Again, I'm just not a fan of these rubber straps. I mean, they're very comfortable, they're very well made, but they're just so freaking long. Let me see if I can show you guys on wrist. But again, a rubber strap is a minor thing because you can swap them out. But Turtle, 45mm case size, 48mm lug to lug. Again, that sort of dimension that you hear where it wears surprisingly well. You know, you hear 45mm and you think, my lord, that's huge. But it isn't. It wears incredibly well because of the short lug to lug. Hi Bloggy, yeah, I'm good mate, how are you? Hope you're doing well. And the strap, I mean, it doesn't look too bad, I guess. Maybe I'm just being a bit too fussy, but I just find them too long. And that might just be my personal preference. But, yes. Maybe not, I don't know. Cool watch. Very cool watch. Special edition, not limited edition. They weren't limited to a certain number, am I mistaken? Oh, they were limited edition, just not publicised how many limited, is that right? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. It does say limited edition on the back, but it doesn't say by how many. So if any of you guys know the answer, feel free to let me know. Helps being Italian, yes. Seiko, one of the best loom in the game. For the affordable range, 100%, no question about it. Even sort of competing with the higher end watches, I think they're very good. Very good. I think they're the best made and reasonable price of the Seiko. The Turtle, yeah, I agree. I think the Turtle is the best, followed by the Monster, but the Monster is such a polarizing look that you have to like the Monster. Otherwise, it's not. I'll be honest, early days I didn't like the Monster. I think I did a comparison video between the Monster and something. One of my dad's got the Monster, so I compared his Monster to some other Seiko. Can't remember which one. And I weren't a fan of the Monster, whereas I can say I've come full circle. I now really like the Monster, and I'm looking to add quite a cool one to the collection at some point in the future. So, yeah, agreed. Alright then, let's move on to the next piece, which is the other one we were saying that is limited to 50, which is a bonkers piece. I think this piece is just, it's very, very funky, which is the whole point of this. So this is the Unimatic, which is a micro brand that's been going for a little while. They've been absolutely killing it with their limited editions. They even did a SpongeBob one, which people went crazy for. So they're doing some very funky stuff at the moment. This is the U1-C, which is all black, black dial, black hands, black loom, black everything. It's just stealthy as stealthy can be, which is an interesting thing because you either like this or you don't. And I'll be very honest, and I was honest in my write-up of this watch, it's very difficult to tell the time. You know, on the wrist it's almost illegible in most lights. So you've got to really like the design of this and like the fact that you are getting a ridiculously stealthy watch, which is, I guess, the USP of this. There's not many things out there which are this stealthy. It's limited to 50, and it was done with the Colette, I believe, which is a retailer in Italy. I could be wrong, but it was a collaboration between them, and they do collaborations quite a lot. Italian, okay, might be Italian. So you can see it's still got the sticker on the back. Limited to 50. A funky piece, but not one that everyone will like. And personally, I think it's just a bit too illegible. Ah, there you go. You can see on there. Colette 8 or B, or whatever that is. I think it's an 8. I think the SevenFriday, love the SevenFriday, but the name makes it sound a bit cheap. Fair enough. How you doing, Andrew? Hope you're doing well. We covered the SevenFriday just a few moments ago. I think they're cool watches. You know, you either like them or you don't, and I think that's what makes them even better in my book, personally. I like going against the grain. So I'm going to put this on wrist and show you what it looks like. They do very limited pieces, unlike Seiko and Amiga. That is true. That is true. So limited to 50 pieces, this watch. It's got the 4R35 inside, which is the date reference, and this watch doesn't have a date. So you do have a dead space where the date usually is, and it does still have that space, which is quite annoying. I wish brands would use the no date reference movements that they do make, because Seiko do make a no date reference of this. I believe it's the NH33 or 38 or something like that. So they do make it, but brands are just, you know, they will have a lot of these probably in stock with the NH35, so they just put that in there. I get it, but I just think a little bit more attention to detail could be done. So there it is on wrist. Dimensions of this are 41mm by 49mm, so it wears okay. It is a bit big, 13.5mm, but with that added rubber NATO, it sits a little bit higher. But yeah, the kind of watch you either love it or you don't. And again, limited to 50 pieces. So quite cool. They did a couple of NASA pieces as well. Enzo's just put about the NASA in there as well. They're selling quite well. You know, I had the U1-D, I want to say, limited to 200 pieces, and that sold very, very quickly. straight off the website to a new customer, and that, yeah, it didn't last long. It didn't last long. So let's put that one back. We're getting through these watches quite quick. So the next one, and again, we're talking about funky watches today, and that doesn't just mean funky like SevenFriday or this genre should, or the Unimatic. It's funky in terms of material, design, materials used. I think I just said material. Maybe even complication like this retrograde Seiko, which we'll get onto. So that's kind of what we're looking at. We've gone through quite a few pieces now, and we're going to move on to the Bremen. So right here, Bremen. This is the Boeing. So one of my personal favourites. It's a bit big for me personally, but I really like the watch. It's the Bremen Boeing Model 1 Titanium GMT. So you've got the GMT there, and the reason it's got the connection to Boeing is they use the same grade of titanium, the grade 5 that Boeing use. So quite a unique collaboration there. You've got the crown down here at 4 with this unique crown guard shroud that leads into the lugs, which does mean this lug appears a bit thicker than the others. You've got a unidirectional bezel, sorry. You've got the GMT hand there with the yellow tip. You've got a blue tip on the seconds hand. So quite easily legible in regards to what the time is. And as I said, this has got a grade 5 titanium case. Sorry, it's not grade 5, my bad. It's Boeing aviation grade titanium, which there is a different grade of titanium altogether. So it features their triptych case, which is where Bremen have basically 3 pieces that all combine together. You have the first piece, which is the top case with the bezel and the crystal and everything. You have the mid case, which is a rubber gasket basically that holds the movement and has shock absorption, which is an in-house creation by Bremen. And then you have the case back. You've got an unusual lug design here with a lug change that does come with like a mini Allen key to be able to change. It comes on this quite beefy canvas strap. That's one thing Bremen do a lot on their pieces, and you can see the movement on here. The movement is very nice. It's a very cool movement. Inside is what they call the caliber 11.5, like they've got loads of names for it, but it's basically a Solita or an ETA of sorts, and you can see around the edge they've decorated it as well, and you can see the metal shroud which connects with the rubber for the shock absorption. So really cool piece. And let me show you on wrist. So I could probably just about get away with it, but it is on the big side and it's not the usual thing I would probably wear. You've got 43mm case size, but a lug to lug length of 52, which does make it quite long. So I'd say if you've got anything under a 6.5 inch wrist, it's the kind of thing to try on first and make sure it is for you, because anything under a 6.5, I have a 6 3/4, I'd say 6.5 and under is probably going to be a bit too big, but a cool watch nonetheless. So that's the Bremen. We are getting there, we are getting there. So how's everyone doing during this lockdown? What's everyone doing to keep themselves entertained? Are they watching films, binging Netflix? I mean, I've started watching Homeland. I can't believe I've not actually seen it. Everyone always goes on about it. I'm watching Homeland, smashed through the first season. I'm on the second season now. I'll be very honest, I am sitting out in the sun far too much, drinking far too much cider. But hey, what else can we do during this lockdown? So we're going to move on to the next piece. Okay, next piece, one of my favourites that I have in stock at the moment. People know this. It is the Zeniff El Primero TV screen, big blue, whatever you want to call it. It is unapologetically 70s. How cool is that? You've got a rich blue dial there. You've got a very deep dial with this outer ring where the dial just slopes inwards. I mean, it's like a mountain. It's insane. You've got rocker pushers, which are built into the case, so it looks like it's all part of the case leading to the crown. It's almost like there's no pushers, but these actually are the pushers built in. Integrated bracelet with a really cool design. Very similar to the Zeniff Defy range, which they did in the 70s, and I own a piece of the Zeniff Defy, and I will show it you on wrist. So the reason this one's quite unusual is just because of the unique shape, the unique design. It is very much its own thing. Now, size-wise, I believe, let me have a look. I think I've got it open. Here we go. So the dimensions are 42mm case size by a lug-to-lug of 44. So it isn't very big, and it's 14mm thick. So when we talk about that, let's just compare it. So we were talking about this. This is 43mm case and 14mm thick. You have a lug-to-lug of 52 on this, whereas a lug-to-lug of 44 on this. So a lot of people will look at this crazy big Zeniff and go, there's no way you can wear that. Yet, just how much of an illusion is the design of the case to make it seem like it's huge. Now it is a big watch, don't get me wrong, but it wears very, very well. So let me show you on wrist. Now again, bearing in mind I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist, so not the biggest wrist. And it might accidentally be sized to my wrist right now because I really like it and sneakily put it on every now and again, but there we go. There it is. I mean, it is freaking awesome. I love this piece so much, and I will add one of these Zeniffs to my personal collection one day. Again, when the time is right, but also when I find the exact one I want. I'm very picky. I want as close to new stock as possible, but I think it's absolutely awesome. What do you guys think of this? What do you think? And look at that blue. It glistens. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Love it. Love it. So it goes to show they were pushing boundaries in the 70s. I mean, can you imagine when they released this? Like what people were thinking and just the sort of controversy that this piece probably caused. Neville says, practicing my darts in between binge eating. Yes, binge eating. I am also doing that. I am also doing that. Cool piece. William says, agreed. I love the 70s Defy James has. I'm waiting to see the white dial one too. Yes, William. I do have a white dial one. It's with the watchmaker. So I think I mentioned what happened last time, but the white dial I bought, I got too excited. Whenever I see the same Zeniff I have, personally, I have to have it. I got too excited and I didn't check it over properly. The whole thing has been completely polished, which if you've seen one of these watches before, it's not a polished finish. It's a brushed finish with polished bevels, and it's quite an intricate case design and shape and everything like that. So the white dial is being worked on by my watchmaker, just being cleaned up and having the finish put back on as best as possible, and being serviced and everything like that, and it will be retail ready. And it's the kind of piece where I don't mind sitting on it for a while. Some pieces you end up stuck with for a little while just because they're so different. This is one of them. I don't mind it because I enjoy it, and there's something about selling what you personally enjoy. So when I do finally sit down with someone, I've had it a few times where they're taking a look at this watch in the office, and I'm sitting there with them, and they can see I am genuinely passionate. Like, I'm passionate about watches, so I'm passionate about all the watches I sell, but when you have a personal connection, something they can see. So yeah, I don't mind at all. Don't mind. Bracelet tapering and bracelet is slick. Yeah, it's a significant taper. I mean, when you look at where it starts here and how it just tapers down, it's bonkers. It is bonkers. It looks brilliant. It looks absolutely brilliant. Let's see that white Defy. It's with the watchmaker. I know. I need to get it all repaired. It will be ready once all this blows over. You will see. How you doing, Oscar? How are you doing? How much is that Zeniff James? It's on the website at a reduced price at $2,550 right now, and comes with its original Zeniff sort of brown fluffy box that it would have been sold in, and spare links as well. So I think all considered, it's a good price. It's a very good price. Super duper Alice Cooper. There you go. Let's move on to the next watch. One that everyone seems to love, and for the right reasons. I love it too. This is the Amiga Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon Apollo 8. How freaking cool is this? I love this watch. So, a lot of funky things in this watch. You have black ceramic case. The finishing on this case is stupendous. I mean, they have absolutely knocked it out with the finishing of this. So, black ceramic. Ceramic is often mistaken as not a strong metal, or a material that breaks easily. It doesn't break easily. It is, material-wise, actually harder than steel. The only thing is, if you are to drop it or significantly hit it, there is a chance of it basically cracking or snapping off or whatever. But it's the kind of force you'd have to do that if you did it even with a stainless steel watch, you'd probably also be very concerned for the watch. So if you've hit it hard enough to break it, it didn't matter that it was ceramic, you probably would have done some damage to your stainless steel watch as well. That being said, if you're a bit of a clumsy person and are known for battering your watches, ceramic is probably one of those materials you want to be a bit more careful with. So it's an interesting material, all black all the way through as well, so you don't have to worry about the PVD wearing off over extended periods of time, and it is a cool watch. You've got lume in the bezel, so this bezel is actually luminous. Lume in the crown, which is quite a random feature and one that shocks a lot of people when they first see it. Obviously lume on the dial as well, and let's get onto that dial. You have the moon finishing, which is really great. It looks gorgeous. It's very well done. I believe it's a laser engraving technique that they use or something along those lines. It's paired on this really cool strap, rubber underlay on the strap, which means it's going to last a lot longer. Yellow highlights which just match the yellow features. Really gorgeous watch. Let's see what people are saying. Can't wait to see it. How is the dial on it, James? Yeah, the dial is in good condition on the white Zeniff Defy. It's white with gold accents, which is quite unusual. So gold hands, gold indices and everything like that. You'll like it. You'll like it. I'll have to dig out a photo. Remind me after the stream on Instagram and I'll put up a photo of it, because I do have one in its current or previous state before it went to the watchmaker. The movement inside this is your standard Amiga Speedmaster 1861 movement. Now, it's been renamed the 1869 because the finishing that they've done and the process that they've given this movement has made it so different. Now, the architecture is the same, but the plates and everything have been removed, and a lot more of the movement has been put on show, as well as parts being on show on the front. So a lot has changed for it to do this, so they gave it a different name, 1869, but it is the same 1861 movement. Really cool. Again, you've got that finishing on the dial. It says on the back, "We'll see you on the other side." The famous words said during Apollo 8. Really cool piece. And I'll show you this on wrist. So this is again another piece that a lot of people say to me, "James, I just wish it wasn't 44mm. It's too big, it's too big, it's too big." And I hear it all the time, and I'm like, guys, try this watch on. It's not like the big coaxial movements, which are big. You know, they wear very big. This will surprise a lot of you. Now, it's 44mm in case size, but the lug-to-lug size is 49mm. So the 49mm lug-to-lug dimension means it's only a fraction bigger than the standard Speedmaster. Now, the case size might be bigger, and it does wear wider on the wrist, but it doesn't wear longer, and that's the key part. A lot of people will find they can wear very wide watches. It's the lug-to-lug length that make it wear big, and the thickness. The thickness on this is 14mm, which is pretty standard for a chronograph, and it wears very well because of the sloping lugs. So, guys, if you like this watch but are holding off from ever getting one because of the size, go and try one on. I'm telling you, you will be absolutely blown away. I certainly was. Is it lighter than steel? Yes, ceramic is a lot lighter than steel. It's very similar to titanium, if not a bit lighter in some cases. It's very similar in its lightness. So there's a lot of benefits to ceramic. It doesn't scratch, or doesn't scratch as easy, I should say. I mean, you can still scratch ceramic, but it's more, rather than a scratch, you're taking out a lot of metal, which I guess technically is what scratch is, but it's a very deep scratch. So, cool watch. Very cool watch. Again, that yellow stitching. This is a really nice piece. If I was to own a non-standard Speedmaster, by that I mean the non-Heslite or Sapphire, I would go for this, because I just think it's so unusual, and we'll look back in 20 years and just go, do you remember when Amiga did that? It's like when Rolex do the Rainbow Daytona, right? It's just so quite a random thing. And when you look at it as a whole piece, the movement, the finishing, the yellow, the luminescence, the case material, I mean, it is very unusual for Amiga, and I think it's the kind of thing that's going to be one of those that we look back on in the future and go, why didn't we buy more? Cool piece. How you doing, Chris? Watch this space is in here. How are you doing? Beautiful, and it's legible. Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is, and legibility is an important thing, because, well, obviously to tell the time, but I mean in this watch, because they do a couple of other dark side of the moon, or black ceramic, or grey ceramic, grey side of the moon, you know, all these different models, and in my opinion they're not as legible. You know, you can't really tell the time on them, especially the proper dark side of the moon coaxial with the 2 registers. It's very difficult to tell the time on, whereas this, it's very legible. You cannot go wrong with it, really. Amiga's finishing has always impressed me. I've had a few Constellation Double Eagles. Yeah, they're cool watches, and they were beautiful watches. Yeah, I mean, the finishing on Amiga shouldn't be scoffed at. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it long enough, and they do it to a very, very good standard. William says, really lovely. I really do like the sound of this Defy. It's a gorgeous piece. It's a gorgeous piece. As I said, send me a message on Instagram to remind me, and I'll dig out a photo on my phone of the white one. It will probably be a very basic hand shot in terrible light, but at least you'll be able to see. So we have covered almost everything on the table, which is mental. I don't know how long we've been live. Let's have a look. We have been live for about 42 minutes. Okay, so quite on track, really. The final watch we're going to look at isn't a funky watch in the same usual sense as a lot of these on the table. It's a funky watch in the sense of the complication. So quite a standard complication you have on here. You have a power reserve down here, which is on E at the moment for empty. Let's give it a wind and you'll see that start to increase, which is quite cool. You have the days of the week and the day of the month. Now these are done in retrograde format. So retrograde is where when you quick set, or just as per normal, it goes up, and you'll see when it gets to Sunday what happens. Boom, it snaps down. And that is the same for the day of the date of the month down there at the bottom. You will see it snaps back. Quite like retrogrades. I think they're really cool. One famous watchmaker who did a lot of retrogrades was Frank Mueller. They did an awful lot of them, and I think they are massively underrated. And they just look really, really cool, especially when they're done in a nice format like this one is. This dial isn't enamel. I believe they might do an enamel variant of this, but a lot of people contact me saying, is that the enamel one? Because you can't really tell in the photos. It's a very, very creamy dial, which gives off that illusion. So I would say, if you don't want to spend the fortunes on the enamel ones, I mean, they're not fortunes, but they are definitely more expensive. This is a really great option. So this is the Presage Retrograde SARD 009, so SARD 009 is the reference. Trying to get back in focus. The light has blinded everyone. Sorry guys. Really nice high polish on the hands and the indices. Nice finished case as well, as you can see. Paired on a strap, Seiko strap, which is actually quite a nice strap. The Seiko straps are notoriously bad. This one is actually pretty good. And it does fold the wrong way, as people say, and I did get a lot of questions as to why the strap is on the wrong way. Same with the Tudor. There's a lot of theories. Patek do it, a lot of brands do it. Apparently in Japanese culture it's deemed less offensive to have the strap, the bit poking out, not facing whoever it is talking to. I don't know how true that is, but that seems to be the common thing that people say. The internet is dropping out a little bit. Sorry guys. It's coming back again, I think. Let me know if you can still hear me. Again, apologies. The internet is all over the place. Seems to be the way it is going at the moment. So I do apologise. It's in and out, in and out. So, let's see what people are saying. Oscar, thank you for joining us. How are you doing? When Amiga had a child with Hublot, with all the good of both. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. Yeah, Hublot in the sense of their alternative materials and everything like that. It's what they're kind of famous for, and they do very, very well. I like this Seiko. Yeah, it's gorgeous. I'll put it on wrist and show you guys. Always thought that was enamel. Yeah, a lot of people do, Chris. A lot of people do. And a lot of people mistake it for the enamel. But to be honest, you're getting a really nice creamy dial. And you're not having to pay the premium that you pay for an enamel. I mean, let me give you an example. This is from August 2018. It's a full set and it's £600 on the website. I mean, that is not a bad price for what you get. Now, the dimensions of this are 40mm case size, a 47mm lug to lug, and the lugs are almost like razor teardrop things. They're really cool, the way they hang off. I think they call them bomb lugs, B-O-M-B-E. It's that kind of style, but very subtle. 14mm thick and 20mm lug width. So really nice design, very, very cool. And again, the strap folds in the other way. You can change it over, it's very easy to do. I mean, but this is how it comes from a Seiko factory. Apparently the reason being, as I was just saying, I think the internet cut out when I was saying it, when the strap pokes out this way in certain areas or certain cultures, potentially Japan, apparently it's deemed offensive to the person you're speaking to. It's quite an aggressive act, unintentionally, of course. Don't know how true that is, but that's apparently the reason why a lot of brands do this. Patek is infamous for it, Seiko, Tudor do them as well, and so do a couple of other brands. But really, really cool watch, really cool. Love this. Joe Genta built some very interesting retrogrades in his time. Yes, he certainly did. He certainly did. There's a lot of people very famous for it. Joe Genta, Frank Mueller, just to name a few. But really cool watch, massively underrated in my opinion, especially when you consider the price of these. And inside beating away is the 6R24 retrograde with an exhibition case back. So there you go. Cool watch, cool watch. Well, we have gone through every single watch in the box. It's been quite fun. So if you have joined late and you missed a few pieces, you'll be able to view this again once it goes live on the channel, which might take 20, 30, 40 minutes or so. We've gone through the Jean Richard Aeroscope Arsenal Edition. Very polarizing watch, but a cool watch nonetheless. The Zeniff El Primero TV screen or Big Blue. The Amiga Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon Apollo 8. The Ulysse Nardin Marine Diver Camo, limited to 50 pieces. The Bremen Boeing GMT Titanium. The Chopard Millimilia Titanium as well, again really cool. The Seiko Black Turtle, nicknamed the Black Ninja. The Unimatic U1-D, I want to say, or C, one of them. Doing this all off the top of my head, guys, so you'll have to forgive me. The Seiko Presage Retrograde, which we just went through, and the SevenFriday P1-03, I want to say, Industrial Essence Orange. I remember that last bit. All funky watches, which was the theme of today's episode, going over something a bit different, what you can get for different prices. And again, we can go through the prices, but they're all available on the website if you are interested in that sort of stuff. Whereas these are more dedicated just to showing pieces, talking about them, and getting you guys involved. So unless you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask, I'm probably going to end it here, because we have gone through everything, absolutely everything, which was the plan. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Not quite an hour, which we were hoping for, but nonetheless, it's been a fun stream. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. It really does make a difference. And if you are bored, there has been 5 of these altogether now, and they are in a folder on the channel. So you'll be able to find all of them together and enjoy them. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll do it again soon. It's the weekend now, so I'm unsure if I'll do one. Just keep an eye out. We will see. So thank you all very much. Take care. Look after yourself. And remember, it is time to eat lots of food and stay at home. So take care. Bye-bye.